No one at Fort Langdon talked about her, not because they didn't know her, but because they were afraid to. Her name was Lieutenant Harper Blake, a woman whose quiet presence could freeze a room. Anyone looking at her saw only a calm, disciplined officer who kept to herself and never bragged. But what almost no one knew except the Pentagon and a handful of people who signed non-disclosure agreements was that Harper Blake was one of the most lethal close-quarter combat masters the U.S. Navy SEALs had ever trained. Her record was classified. Her missions were sealed. Her reputation hidden behind layers of boring administrative duty she had been temporarily assigned to after a classified op went wrong overseas. The soldiers on base assumed she was just another logistics officer pushed into the training cycle to observe. Nobody imagined she had broken bones of cartel smugglers with her bare hands. Nobody imagined she had once escaped from an ambush in the Hindu Kush Mountains with 3 wounded teammates on her back. Nobody imagined she had fought 6 hours straight in a hostage rescue mission that international media still believed was a training drill. And most importantly, no one imagined she could fight. That mistake was about to cost them the arrival of the 3 troublemakers. The problem began when 3 new soldiers were transferred to the base. Sergeant Cole Maddox, loud, cocky, and permanently convinced he was the strongest man in every room. Corporal Ryan Sutter, always filming everything for his fitness channel, craving validation like oxygen. Private Mason Hale, the youngest, desperate to prove himself, easily influenced by the first 2. Together, they were known unofficially as the Bulldogs, a name they gave themselves because they believed they were tough, aggressive, and unstoppable, and they loved mockery, especially of anyone who looked quiet or out of place. When they first saw Lieutenant Harper Blake in the gym, alone, stretching lightly in her gray SEAL PT shirt, they exchanged smirks. "Yo," Cole whispered loudly, making sure she could hear him. "Looks like admin sent their secretary to the wrong room," Ryan added, lifting his phone. "Bro, she's tiny. If she's here for combat drills, that's going to be hilarious content." Mason just nodded nervously, unsure whether to laugh or stay quiet. Harper didn't react, didn't even look their way. She simply continued her stretching, calm and composed. But that calm was the calm before storm the 3 had no idea was coming. The first warning, Captain Aaron Reed, a friend of Harper's and one of the few who knew her background, walked into the gym moments later. "Lieutenant Blake," he greeted her respectfully. "Your assessment rotation starts today. Need anything before you head to the training field?" Cole's eyebrows shot up. "Lieutenant, she's a lieutenant." Ryan laughed. "Dude, they'll promote anyone these days." Captain Reed turned slowly toward the Bulldogs. "You 3, he said sharply. "A word of advice. Do not underestimate Lieutenant Blake. She has more operational hours than any of you combined." Cole smirked. "Yeah, doing what? Paperwork." Ryan laughed again. Mason joined hesitantly. Captain Reed shook his head with a half smile. "You boys are about to learn something the hard way, I guess." Harper simply grabbed a water bottle and walked out of the gym without a word. "Cole, watch her go." She didn't even respond, probably scared. Ryan nodded confidently. "We could take her down in 5 seconds. All 3 of us." Captain Reed chuckled under his breath. If only they knew the setup. Soldiers tried to test her that afternoon. The Bulldogs waited near Field Bravo, a secluded corner of the base normally used for advanced sparring drills. They knew Harper would be passing through on her way to the assessment review room. Cole leaned against a crate. "When she walked through here, we test her. Nothing crazy, just, show her how real soldiers train." Ryan smirked. "Yeah, I'll record it. This is going to go viral." Mason was nervous. "I don't know, man," Captain Reed said. Cole slapped his shoulder. "Relax, it's just some friendly pressure. What's the worst she can do? Lecture us." Ryan snorted. "Exactly. She's not going to swing. She looks like she's afraid to raise her voice." They waited and waited. Then finally, Harper Blake appeared, walking calmly, holding a folder of training reports. Cole stepped forward, blocking her path. Well, Lieutenant Blake," he said mockingly. "Where you headed in such a hurry?" Harper looked him dead in the eyes. "Move." Her voice was calm, steady, dangerous. Cole grinned. "What if we don't?" Ryan moved behind her with his phone. Mason closed the gap on her left. They had surrounded her point. 3 men, all larger, all armed, all arrogant. And Harper just sighed. I'm going to say this once, she said quietly, setting the folder down on a nearby crate. Step aside right now. Ryan snickered. Or wah. He never finished the sentence. The fight 12 seconds that changed everything before Ryan's brain processed the danger. Harper's body moved like a bullet fired from a gun to a thud. Her palm struck Ryan's wrist, snapping his grip on the phone. The device flew into the dirt. Her elbow followed instantly. Crack. Ryan hit the ground, gasping, holding his chest. Mason froze. What the? Harper pivoted. Cold charge, trying to grab her arm. Mistake. She stepped inside his reach. Her movement smooth, controlled. Her knee shot upward. Wham! Straight into Cole's solar plexus. The sergeant collapsed, wheezing like his lungs were crushed. But Mason, panicked and desperate, swung wildly at her. Harper caught his wrist midair, twisted. Mason screamed as his body dropped to his knees. She placed one hand behind his neck, lowered him gently and said in a whisper only he heard, "Don't ever attack someone you haven't assessed. You could have broken your hand or worse, you could have died." And then silence. The entire fight had lasted 12 seconds. 3 grown soldiers lay on the ground unable to move. Harper Blake stood calmly, breathing steady, not a single hair out of place. She picked up her training folder, dusted it off, and looked down at the shocked men. Cole wheezed. What the hell are you?" Harper crouched beside him, eyes sharp as steel. "I told you to move," she said softly. "And you didn't listen." Ryan groaned. How can you fight like that?" Harper rose to her full height. "Remember something," she said coldly. "I'm not a secretary. I'm not an observer. And I'm sure as hell not scared of you." She stepped closer, her voice deadly calm. "I'm a SEAL combat master." Mason's eyes widened. "IA SEAL," as in Harper nodded once. "Classified operations, close quarter combat lead, 2 combat tours, 3 hostage rescues, and I commanded a black budget SEAL team you'll never read about." Cole swallowed hard. "You could have killed us." Harper stared him down. "Yes, easily. But that's not what warriors do. Real strength isn't about hurting people. It's about control." She turned to walk away, but paused. "Report to Captain Reed," she said flatly. "Tell him you attempted to test the lieutenant. He'll know what to do." Then she left them there on the ground, doubled in pain, humiliated for the first time in their lives. Consequences. The truth spreads through the base within an hour. The entire base was whispering. "Did you hear? 3 soldiers tried to corner Lieutenant Blake. She took them down in seconds. She was a SEAL, a real one." By evening, Harper's name was everywhere. The Bulldogs were ordered to stand before Captain Reed in his office. Cole spoke first. "Sir, we made a mistake." Ryan nodded quickly. "A very big mistake." Mason practically trembled. "We didn't know who she was." Captain Reed looked at them with an expression that was half amusement, half disappointment. "You boys try to corner a woman who trained with Devru operators," he said dryly. "What exactly did you think was going to happen?" No one answered. Finally, he sighed. "You'll be written up for misconduct. You'll do extra drills for the next 2 weeks, and you'll personally apologize to Lieutenant Blake." They nodded rapidly. "But most importantly," Captain Reed continued, leaning forward, voice cold, "you will never ever judge someone by how they look. Do I make myself clear?" "Yes, sir," all 3 shouted. The next morning, Harper was at the track running laps at a speed that made elite soldiers stare. Her endurance was unreal. Cole, Ryan, and Mason approached nervously. Harper slowed, stopping in front of them. Cole cleared his throat. "Lieutenant Blake, we all were sorry for what we did," Ryan spoke next. "We underestimated you badly," Mason added softly. "We thought you were just another officer. We were wrong." Harper studied them for a long moment. "Do you know why you lost?" she finally asked. Cole nodded. "We got cocky," Ryan added. "We didn't assess the situation." Harper nodded slowly. "And most importantly, you fought out of ego, not discipline." The men lowered their heads. Then Harper surprised them. "I don't hold grudges," she said quietly. "But I do expect you to train harder from now on. If you want to fight, fight to be better, not to intimidate others." They nodded quickly, grateful that as she walked past them. Cole whispered to Ryan, "Man, we're lucky she likes Mercy." Ryan exhaled deeply. "Bro, Mercy is the only reason we're alive." Over the next few days, Harper Blake unintentionally became the most respected person on base. Soldiers who once ignored her now saluted her with genuine respect. Recruits whispered her name like she was a myth, and senior officers requested her training expertise for advanced drills. But Harper wasn't interested in fame or admiration. She simply wanted to train. To prepare for her next deployment. To stay sharp. Yet her reputation had grown beyond her, and the Bulldogs, once arrogant, became her biggest admirers. Cole trained harder than ever. Ryan deleted his mocking footage and created a new series about respecting real warriors. Mason asked Harper for guidance on improving his combat stance, and she helped him without hesitation. She turned the men who once tried to corner into better soldiers, because that's what true warriors do. If you're watching this on Grow for Justice, hit the subscribe button right now. Stories like this, real emotional, intense stories of courage, discipline, and the hidden heroes among us are what this channel stands for. Now, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And do you want more stories about Navy SEALs like Lieutenant Harper Blake?